In the early hours of a brisk winter morning at one of the nation's busiest international airports, an undercurrent of tension vibrated through the terminal. Amid the customary clatter of rolling suitcases and hurried footsteps, an unexpected controversy was about to unfold, one that would reverberate through social media feeds and make headlines for days. The day had started ordinarily enough for most of the staff. At the check-in counter near Gate C, Assistant Manager Lisa Rivera reviewed a new directive: strict enforcement of boarding rules for all passengers, irrespective of their profile. The memo, delivered in crisp corporate tone, emphasized zero tolerance for perceived unruliness or disruption. It was meant to enhance security and streamline operations in an increasingly unpredictable travel climate. Lisa, whose warm smile usually belied a steely commitment to protocol, felt a pang of unease as she scanned the document. She knew that every decision made in this high-pressure environment could have unforeseen consequences. That morning, an escort team was assigned to high-profile passengers, though the details were vague. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, a small group of experienced staff, including veteran security officer Marcus Lang and his colleague Denise Harper, exchanged anxious glances. Rumors had been swirling for days about a controversial VIP making an unscheduled transit. They didn't know it yet, but fate had chosen the son of a former president for a showdown that would forever change their lives. At exactly 9:15 a.m., the red carpet treatment arrived in an entirely unexpected form. Barron Trump, the reserved but inquisitive teen known more for his quiet demeanor than any rowdy antics, stepped off a sleek, black limousine. Clad in an understated navy jacket and sneakers, his innocent eyes scanned the bustling terminal. But in the chaos of travel, appearances are often deceiving. A miscommunication in the flow of instructions and the urgency of the moment led one of the security supervisors to misinterpret Barron's hesitation and his request for directions as defiance. Within minutes, Officer Daniels, an assertive, no-nonsense man known for his rigid adherence to protocol, approached Barron with a tone that bordered on finality. "Young man, you need to come with me," Daniels said briskly. The teen's confusion deepened. He had been trying to locate his family's gate, not inciting trouble. His wide eyes pleaded silently as the staff, fueled by the directive to enforce rules strictly, began escorting him away from the crowded terminal. Lisa Rivera, who had been overseeing the operations that day, watched in dismay as the scene unfolded. "Wait," she called out, but her voice was lost in the flurry of commands and murmurs. The decision had been made too quickly, a decision that would later reveal layers of regret. Whispers rippled through the crowd as bystanders recorded the incident on their smartphones. In an age where every moment is instantly shared, the brief confrontation was captured from multiple angles, and within hours, the video was trending on YouTube. The title on one of the videos read, "Airport Staff Kicked Out Barron Trump," and the footage, raw and unedited, ignited a firestorm of debate online. Comments flew fast and furious, some condemning the strict action as heavy-handed, others insisting that rules were rules. The digital spotlight was now fixed firmly on the airport and its staff. Back in the secure area of the terminal, Marcus Lang paced nervously. "We're supposed to protect and serve," he muttered under his breath, guilt weighing heavily on him. Denise Harper, usually resolute in her duty, couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly amiss. "We followed orders, but, did we do the right thing?" she asked quietly, her voice trembling with remorse. Their shared sentiment was a silent acknowledgement that they had participated in an event that might haunt them. The fallout was swift. Overnight, news outlets dissected the incident, and social media influencers began analyzing every second of the footage. In coffee shops, bars, and offices, debate sparked about accountability, the balance between security and compassion, and the treatment of youth in public spaces. The incident had struck a nerve, a reminder that even the most unyielding protocols could fail when human emotions were involved. Yet, as the day wore on, an unforeseen twist was about to upend the already volatile situation. At precisely 3:30 p.m., a sleek black sedan rolled into the airport's private drop-off zone. Out stepped Melania Trump, accompanied by a discreet security detail. The atmosphere shifted in an instant, whispers turned to hushed murmurs, and every eye in the terminal fixed on her graceful, measured strides. Known for her quiet dignity and subtle yet formidable presence, Melania exuded calm but carried an unmistakable aura of authority. Within minutes of her arrival, the digital narrative took a dramatic turn. A few passengers, still reeling from the earlier commotion, speculated in hushed tones, had Melania been informed of the incident? As she moved purposefully through the terminal, her gaze swept over the faces of those who had contributed to the misunderstanding. It wasn't long before she reached the security office, where a group of staff, including Officer Daniels, Lisa Rivera, Marcus Lang, and Denise Harper, were gathered in anxious anticipation. Their earlier certainty had dissolved into palpable dread. Melania's entrance was silent yet seismic. Without preamble, she spoke in a calm, measured tone that resonated with authority. "I understand that mistakes were made today. I want to know exactly what happened." Her voice was neither accusatory nor condescending, but it carried the weight of a woman used to commanding respect and expecting accountability. In that tense moment, time seemed to slow down. Lisa Rivera stepped forward, her voice quavering as she recounted the day's events in painstaking detail. We received orders to enforce boarding protocols strictly. When we saw Barron wandering near the gate and not following the expected instructions, we made the decision to escort him out. We thought we were protecting the integrity of the process." Her words stumbled over each other as she tried to articulate the conflict between following orders and the instinct to show compassion. Melania listened intently, her expression inscrutable. The silence in the room was thick with anticipation. Then, with deliberate calm, she said, "In any system, human error is inevitable. But it is our responsibility to learn from that error and to ensure that compassion is not sacrificed in the name of efficiency." Her words were gentle yet unwavering, cutting through the tension like a scalpel. She then turned her gaze toward a large monitor streaming the viral footage. "This," she stated quietly, "does not define who we are, nor should it define how we treat those in need, especially a child." The gravity of her statement sunk into the hearts of the staff. Marcus Lang's hands trembled as he recalled the moment he had seen Barron's frightened eyes. "We thought we were doing what was best," he whispered, the weight of regret heavy in his tone. Melania's intervention didn't stop with words alone. Over the next hour, she meticulously reviewed the sequence of events with the staff, asking detailed questions and demanding an honest self-assessment. Slowly, a plan of corrective action began to form. She arranged for a full review of airport protocols, ensuring that future decisions would be tempered with empathy and a more nuanced understanding of the unique challenges faced by travelers. "This is not merely about one incident," she explained to the assembled team, "it is about restoring trust in every facet of our service. A single act of retribution can lead to irreversible damage if we don't address the underlying issues." Meanwhile, the viral video continued to amass views. Amid the social media frenzy, public sentiment started to shift. Influencers who had initially condemned the airport staff began to express a more sympathetic view toward the personnel, citing Melania's intervention as a turning point. In a series of trending reaction videos on YouTube, commentators discussed how the incident highlighted the complexities of modern security in a fast-paced world, where rules must be balanced against the human cost of their enforcement. At one point, a particularly influential vlogger, known simply as the Empath, described the day as a lesson in humility and compassion. "We all make mistakes," he said in a viral clip that resonated with millions, "but it's how we respond to those mistakes that defines our character." His words, echoing the sentiments of Melania's own remarks, only served to further humanize the staff involved in the incident. In a series of private meetings that followed, the airport management team, along with representatives from the Oversight Committee, convened to determine the appropriate course of action. It was unanimously agreed that the staff involved would undergo additional training in de-escalation techniques and conflict resolution, ensuring that future situations would be handled with a greater emphasis on understanding and empathy. Lisa Rivera, once racked with guilt, found herself at the forefront of these changes. "We owe it to every passenger, especially the most vulnerable among us, to ensure that our actions are guided by compassion as much as by protocol," she declared in a press briefing later that day. For Marcus Lang and Denise Harper, the experience had been nothing short of a personal reckoning. In long after-hours debriefings and reflective conversations, both expressed a renewed commitment to balancing security with kindness. "I still think about that look in Barron's eyes," Marcus admitted during one such meeting, "and I realize now that no rule is worth sacrificing the human element." As the evening wore on and the initial uproar began to settle, a surprising twist emerged. Barron Trump, who had been quietly escorted to a waiting family car and then temporarily placed in the care of his father's trusted aides, was later seen re-entering the terminal. He had been allowed back by a decision made at the highest levels after a review of the incident. His quiet return, marked by a cautious smile and a hint of resilience in his eyes, symbolized the possibility of redemption and healing after misunderstanding. In a brief, off-camera interview captured by a local news crew, he simply stated, "I'm just glad everything got sorted out." The reconciliation did not end there. Melania Trump, true to her word, took personal responsibility for ensuring that the oversight led to genuine reform. Over the next few days, she spearheaded initiatives that would modernize airport policies, not only to avoid similar incidents in the future but to create a more inclusive, respectful atmosphere for travelers of all ages and backgrounds. Her leadership was lauded as a masterclass in crisis management, and soon, her actions became the focal point of discussions on television talk shows, major news channels, and yes, countless YouTube trending segments. In the weeks that followed, the incident became a case study in leadership and empathy. The viral video was analyzed frame by frame in academic circles and corporate training sessions, demonstrating the fine line between order and overzealous enforcement. Documentaries were made, and podcasts featured interviews with both the staff and the affected parties. The airport, once the stage of a regrettable misstep, transformed into a symbol of learning and growth. People from around the world praised the administration's swift move to institute reforms, and the narrative shifted from one of blame to one of constructive change. For the staff members directly involved, the experience became a catalyst for personal transformation. Officer Daniels, who had been one of the most uncompromising enforcers of the policy, eventually took it upon himself to mentor younger colleagues, emphasizing the importance of pausing before acting and considering the human element in every decision. "I'll never forget that day," he later admitted in an interview, "and every time I see a young traveler, I remind myself that behind every rule is a person with feelings and dreams." At the heart of this unfolding drama was the simple, unyielding truth that even in a world governed by strict protocols, compassion must remain paramount. The story of the airport incident, a moment of misguided severity met with a heartening act of accountability, became a powerful reminder that leadership is not about rigidly adhering to rules, but about having the courage to recognize and rectify one's mistakes. As the final day of the controversy drew to a close, the terminal that once buzzed with the energy of discontent now exuded a quieter, reflective calm. The staff, having weathered public scrutiny and personal guilt, emerged with a renewed sense of purpose. They knew that the lessons learned that day would not be forgotten and that every subsequent decision would be informed by the painful, yet necessary, journey through regret and redemption. In the echo of that fateful morning, the story resonated far beyond the walls of the airport. It became a trending saga on YouTube, a narrative shared by millions that underscored the impact of empathy in even the most challenging situations. And while the incident had started with the unfortunate ejection of a young boy, it ended with a legacy of change, one that reminded everyone that even in our most troubled moments, there is always an opportunity to make things right. The lessons of that day continue to inspire debates, reforms, and personal reflections. From the corridors of the airport to the screens of millions around the globe, the narrative remains a testament to the power of accountability, the importance of compassion, and the enduring impact of a leader's decisive intervention. In a world often marred by hasty judgments and impersonal protocols, the incident stands as a beacon of hope, a reminder that when we choose to listen, learn, and adapt, we can transform mistakes into stepping stones toward a more humane future. And so, as the terminal lights dimmed and the echoes of the day faded into the annals of time, the legacy of that tumultuous day was etched in collective memory. A day that began with a misunderstanding and ended with the promise of reform, a day when a quiet voice, determined to uphold dignity over discipline, changed the course of many lives for the better. The story remains a gripping narrative for anyone who believes that even the most rigid systems can bend in the light of empathy, and that every misstep is an opportunity to rebuild with a deeper understanding of what it truly means to care for one another.